stand by, I'm just gonna edit his name.
Okay, you're all set.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the March 31st meeting of the Finance Committee. And I'm just signing in someone's name. Okay. Tonight we have on our agenda, as we review the budget, we're going to look at the veteran service to start in library and other departments. And then also, we don't have any transfers or minutes. And then we'll talk about next week's meeting. So let's look at the veterans. We're going to go out of order, please, and let's look at our Auburn Youth Commission first.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Did I screw that?
our Veterans Director, Services Director is with us. His time is limited,
All right, sorry, we'll do that first. All right,
and we had him back first, so.
all right, all right. Thank you, sir. So, do you want to tell us a little about your budget, Mr. Barber?
It looks like Lincoln's connection is frozen.
Okay. Where did Norm go? Oh, there he is.
I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, you can hear us, good. Is there, we have your budget here. Is there anything you want to tell us about it before we talk about it? I think you,
Ed prepared the numbers. I don't really have any control.
all right, thank you.
So, Madam Chair.
Can't hear me?
Yes, yep.
Madam Chair, if I could, the budget that is being presented to you tonight, all the costs are basically fixed except for medical relief. Medical relief fluctuates up and down. We've seen swings in that most recently, but it seems to have tapered off. So this is one area that we really have to keep an eye on.
Yes.
So our monthly average is running about 8,000 and change per month. It was as high as, I think the high watermark was around 12 or 13,000. And that's why we increased the budget last year to a high of, I believe, 100 and, let me just pull up the budget here. A high of $160,000. So when we reviewed the budget most recently, Lincoln and I had a discussion. We're running about 8,000 now. I know we have recommended 150, but that 8,000 could quickly become 12 or 13,000 again. So we're comfortable at 150. If we need to make a correction, we'll do so at the fall town meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ed. And am I correct, we get reimbursement from the state?
Yes, we get 75% reimbursement for all eligible expenses under that account line item.
All right, thank you, Ed. So, members, do you have any questions about the Veterans Service budget? No? Okay, Michael, do I hear a motion to, let's see, the budget right now, town manager recommendation, $176,850, and that is reduced to last year's $188,610. Do I hear a motion to recommend the $176,850? Michael?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks, Ed. So I'll do a roll call. All in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barber. All right, so let's stick to the agenda. We're going to go with library next. And I see our librarian, Jean Collins, is here. And Jean, I have the updated number. So Jean, do you want to tell us about, anything you want to tell us about the budget?
The budget is generally, pretty stable, pretty much the same things each year. Our materials budget is probably one of the most important because that's, we have to meet state guidelines for that. And as you can see, a large portion of our budget is also for staffing. Other than that, it's pretty stable from year to year, and it doesn't fluctuate a lot in terms of what we need.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I know you have knowledge of a change in the budget. I'm not so sure the other members do, so.
No.
I'd like to inform the other members that Jean and I had notified Julie and I today that the budget did not meet the required and minimum contribution that allows us to get a level of state aid. Otherwise, we'd have to request a waiver, and it gets very complicated, and it gets drawn out, and it makes it more difficult to reapply and meet the required contribution in subsequent years. That being said, we had a discussion with Jean and decided to recommend an additional $13,000 under line item 511218, bringing the total budget to $653,000. The required contribution that we need to meet is $652,633. So it's about $370 above the required contribution. So we're asking for the Finance Committee to approve a total budget of $653,000 tonight.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Members, do you have any questions for our librarian?
See that there's a new position recommended. Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
You're looking at the assistant director. I'm not sure which one you're looking at. Sorry.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think that last year the salary appropriation or the library associates appropriation was 170. It's going up to 225, and unless I'm reading this incorrectly, there was a new position.
If I can run with that, Gene. So, Mike, if you recall at the fall town meeting, we cut about $70,000 out of that line item because we had some vacancies in an effort to scale down the budget to meet what we believed was a revenue loss because of COVID-19. We're just building that back up. I think it was, I know you had total cuts of about $75,000. I think $70,000 came out of that one line item, Gene, correct?
I think it was $79,000 and $75,000 came out of that. So it was closer to $80,000 with the budget cut. And so we haven't filled that position, so we're now rebuilding that, the administrative position.
So, Michael, prior to that cut, that line item appropriation was budgeted for $240,000.
Understood.
Okay,
That's my only question. I think I'm good.
thank you. Ed, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just and one quick question on the required state contribution. I don't remember seeing that come up in past years where they changed. When does and how does the state establish what the town's required contribution is?
I can answer that question.
Good.
And this year we weren't exactly sure what the formula would be. It's generally the previous 3 years, an average of those 3 years, and then a 1.5% increase. We weren't real sure what they were going to do this year because there were so many, changes because of COVID. So that's generally how the formula works for the state.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Trevor, do you have any questions?
No questions right now.
Okay, thank you. I have one question, Jean. What kind of grants does the library receive, and where are they coming from?
So this year, we recently received over $4,000 from the Cultural Council. We received previously a program grant for 55 plus. We also received some STEM Young Scientist grants from the YWPCA, and drawing a blank right now. So basically, mostly is Cultural Council. Previous year, we received more, and this past year, we just got a $4,000 award, so we definitely supplement programs with those.
Okay.
And the state aid, of course, is our biggest grant. This year, it looks like we will be getting almost $30,000. So it's usually between $26,000 and $30,000, and that comes from the state as a result of meeting our budget requirements and spending it in the appropriation.
Okay. Okay, and any questions, gentlemen? It looks like we're all set. Let's see, we're looking at a total library budget of $653,000, as compared to last year's appropriation, $571,523. And as Mr. Kazanovich noted, that was after we had reduced that line item at a town meeting. So do I hear a motion to recommend $653,000?
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? I'll do a roll call. Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay? Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, any questions on the Capitol?
I do not have any, no. Members?
Nope.
Nope, okay. All set. Thanks, Jean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next budget is the Youth Commission, Auburn Youth Commission. I think I moved it again, okay? So Norm LaFleche is here. Hi, Norm, do you want to talk about the budget at all?
Well, we have the budget request that we put in. That covers, as usual, we have contracted items that Auburn Youth and Family Services provides, and they live up to those contractual obligations and beyond every year. The cost of those has always, in recent history, has been slightly higher than what we are, so we're trying to bridge a gap to bring it up to what the actual cost is. We keep in constant contact with Sally as far as the services that they provide. With COVID, the way schools are, they still get referrals, and they do some. With in-school counseling, there's an anticipation that once students start arriving, there's probably going to be even a larger use of that for students and stuff, but they're prepared for it in any form, whether it's through a teleconference or in-person meetings. They've got everything set up. So again, we'd like to put our request in, and if at any time it becomes financially feasible, actually request the full amount of what it is. But right now, we just want to try to get what we can to offset the cost of those services. And Sally just joined in case there were any questions as far as anything like that. But the town of Auburn is really back them, and I think everybody realizes the benefit of having Auburn Youth and Family Services here and what they provide for us. So we just want to help support them through this budget process to meet what their costs are.
Okay, thanks, Norm. And Sally D'Angelo, you are the head of Auburn Youth and Family Services. Do you want to add anything?
Just that we thank you for being here tonight, and we thank you for the past support, the Youth Commission and the town. This year, like everybody else, the pandemic has required us to operate a little differently, but we are pleased to say that we continue to provide support to those in the Auburn community that needed us the most. And food insecurity was a big focus for us and still is, and I'd like to thank the town. Julie Jacobson and her team, we did receive a couple grants from the CARES program to provide food to help deal with that issue as well, and we are very, very grateful.
Okay.
Also with me tonight is Andy Paquette. He's our treasurer, and he's able to answer any financial questions about our budget.
Okay, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, do you have any questions? Michael?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ed?
I'm all set.
Okay. And Trevor, any questions?
No.
Okay. So, and I don't have any questions. Thank you for speaking to the budget. I know this is a budget that we always take a good look at every year, and you've certainly over time we've seen some very good presentations, and we understand what the what Youth Commission and what the Auburn Youth and Family Services does for the town and for the kids of the town. Thank you. So I have let's see, a town manager recommended budget, $136,914. Do I hear a motion to recommend?
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Norm.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sally.
very much.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so, going back to our list here, our next budget is solid waste. Okay, and I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right one. Let me just see if, yep. What is the total, I don't know if I have the right budget, Mr. Kazanovich. Is the solid waste total $1,261,406? Okay.
No, it's $1,265,259.
Okay.
Is it? What do the other committee members have? What you have, Madam Chair?
I might have, what do you have, Michael?
I have the same. It was prepared on February 11th, it looks like.
Okay.
We have a revised one on 310.
Ed, I can bring a copy down to,
I have it. I have it.
oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I had it in the wrong place. I have $1,265,259. Okay, and for the members, let's see, the change was the addition of the DDIS Director Support of, and that's $3,853. So the first subtotal you see should read $71,759. Okay, so that first subtotal should read $71,759, and the total budget is $1,265,259. So there was an addition of $3,853. Okay, so we are in, is it year, hi Darlene, you're here to talk about solid waste, hello. Are we in year 2 or 3 of our contract?
So good evening, all, and thank you for having me. We are in the first year of the contract, so that is one of the highlights for solid waste budget that I wanted to just identify. And the contract, so we started the new contract in July 1st of last year.
And we have a new hauler. Casella Waste Systems is our hauler, and we had a transition period for them kind of getting up to speed and learning the routes, which we worked through, and we've been doing very well on that end. The contract is a 3-year contract, and it has a 2-year extension if we choose to move forward on it. We also, what's different about this contract, as you may recall from the last contract, is we did not pay for recycling processing. So a few years ago, there was a shift globally, nationally, that recycling, which was typically taken overseas, now had more stringent requirements as far as contamination in the recycling. And so when that occurred, there was also a shift in the market. Fortunately, we were in our last contract for over 5 years, and we had actually in that contract, we had started with no processing of recycling. That was before what they called like the national sword. So midway through that contract, there was a concern of whether or not we had to pay, but fortunately we did not have to incur any cost. It's a different market now. So recycling processing costs are common, and that was part of our agreement. We have, as part of the recycling processing cost, we did work out it's a formula that allows for the market, when the market is doing better for recycling, we do get a rebate. So the processing cost, which starts at about $96 per ton, actually gets reduced when the market is doing better. So it helps on the town side. So it's not the same each month. So there's also risk with that. But I'm happy to say that over the past 6 to 8 months, we've been paying about $59 per ton for recycling processing. As you know, we do have a contract with Wheelabrator, and we pay about $70 per ton for that. So that is a change in the contract. We have been watching that and monitoring that. And as you know, in the past year with the pandemic, everything has kind of changed, and that includes solid waste costs and recycling. So what we've noticed in the past year, because people are home, because people are at home working from home, we've noticed an increase of everything. So for picking up, for seeing more solid waste at the curb, more blue bags, all of that has kind of been a result of the past year. Also playing into what has happened, the schools were closed. So pretty much in March of last year, they were closed. So we had a lot less of waste and recycling from the schools. That's going to change, obviously, with the schools reopening. So we know that we'll be back doing a normal schedule. And in meeting with Ed and Julie, we know that taking into consideration all of these factors and kind of keeping an eye out on what the solid waste fee, we want to make sure the fee is actually covering the cost because of the pandemic and because of increases with just the amount of waste. We know that we have to look at that. And so over the next Over the next 6 months, I think we'll be doing an analysis to make sure that we can look and see if there's any changes that need to be made in that area. The good news is our blue bag revenue is up because people have to buy the blue bags for anything that doesn't fit into the solid waste toter. So that blue bag fee is up, but obviously we would like to have less waste because we pay per ton. Also as part of the contract, we have worked in the yard waste, so we do get more money for the yard waste, and we also have worked in a annual household hazardous waste subsidy to help us when we have those events. Last year we were not able to have the event. Normally we do it every 2 years. Because of COVID, that has put us off, but we're hoping to be able to plan an event that is, very well attended by residents. So we're hoping to do that maybe in the fall, but if not in the fall, in the spring. So those are some of the highlights. And also because we practice some good recycling habits, we also from DEP get a recycling dividend program grant award, and that comes, we get this year, I think it was about $11,000. So we're really happy with that, and we use that money to help increase our recycling practices in education. You may have noticed, hopefully, that you got a recent mailer that provides some education to residents to let them know to keep it loose, put recycling in the toter loose, not bagging it. So we try to use the money towards education, so that mailer actually doesn't actually cost the town anything. We use the grant money to help educate. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the budget, but as you can see, we do have an increase for disposal costs because we know that in the past year that has gone up. I'm happy to answer anything that you have.
Okay, thank you, Darlene. Gentlemen, questions? Michael?
That was very detailed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ed?
Oh, I'm good as well. I think we were pretty much informed right along that we could anticipate an increase, so it looks good.
Okay, and Trevor?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. All right, and yeah, I don't think I have any questions here. I do have a question about the yard waste. How is that happening? So the yard waste that's at the DPW yard gets picked up?
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you for asking. So yard waste is as part of the contract. So it still gets picked up curbside. So in the spring and in the fall, we have, I think we have about 4 weeks of pickup. So it's usually consecutive weeks. In what that, we did it a little bit different in the past 2 years because we felt like it was a little bit more easier for residents. So your yard waste, as you may remember in years past, would get picked up on certain Saturdays of the month. Now we actually do it on the day of a person's normal pickup. If your pickup is a Monday for your trash and recycling, you actually get picked up for your yard waste. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit easier for people. Just put it out on the day that on the day of the week that we're doing the pickup. That yard waste actually gets picked up by the hauler, and it gets brought over to the DPW yard over at 5 Millbury Street, and that allows us to keep all of the yard waste together. As you may remember, in years past, but it's still in effect, the Asian longhorn beetle doesn't allow for like brush or yard waste that in some affected areas to go outside of the town. So as a precaution, all the yard waste stays, excuse me, at the town and goes to DPW, and then we negotiated into the contract for the hauler to provide $7,000 per year to the town, so that helps the DPW director to be able to get a tub grinder in to be able to grind all of the waste, and then it turns into mulch, and that's how it's processed.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. It does.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking at a budget for fiscal year 2020. Town manager recommendation for solid waste is $1,265,259. And last year's FY21 appropriation was $1,250,477. Do I hear a motion to recommend the $1,265,259?
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Thank you. So all in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Great. Thank you, Darlene. Thanks for coming today and telling us about this.
Thank you so much. You have a nice night.
You too.
Thanks, Darlene.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay, so next on our agenda is a revised fire rescue budget. And we received the new, the revised budget in the mail. Ed, do you want to tell us about this? And what's happening? Yeah.
So, actually, I think the fire chief presented last week. Was it last week or the week before? Time's getting away from me. Anyway, during his presentation, I reached out to the chat room and asked the deputy and the chief if they offset the firefighters' line item by the value of the SAFER grant. And it went unnoticed, so we let it go. But subsequent to that, well, the following day, I was notified by the deputy that, in fact, it wasn't. Now, it was on the server, but you had an older version of the budget.
Oh.
So, thinking that you got the most recent change to that budget, it wasn't picked up. So the value of, there are 2 firefighters who are currently on the SAFER grant. The 3 grant, we're in year 2. The feds pay 65% of the wages as well as fringe benefits. So the wage portion and the fringe benefits are in another department, but the wage portion came out to be $98,833. So the revised budget before you reduces that, the firefighter's salary line item by that value of money.
Okay. No, I have a question. Why wouldn't we just keep the number the same, because that's what's going to be appropriated, and just make a note that part of the, that there would be an offset in the grant, by the grant?
It's part of it's a federal grant, so we allocate their pay and charge the federal grant directly.
Okay.
And we do that for a number of reasons. One, because we do a periodic request for reimbursement from the feds. And instead of doing expenditure transfers and having to get it all muddied up, we charge it directly, and that way we can see the activity against that line for supporting documentation for audit purposes.
All right. So we're looking at a, let's see, the prior fire rescue total that we approved was $3,668,045, And this new revised budget is 98,000 and change dollars less. So our new fire total is $3,569,212. Do I hear a motion to recommend?
Motion to recommend.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, let's do a roll call. All in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor? Yeah, and myself, yes, thank you. So that's all, that's squared away. All right, so let's see. Next, we have our reserve account. Okay, and that's way in the front of our budget book. All right, so the reserve account, all right, the FY 2021 appropriation was $300,000. This year's recommended appropriation is $280,000, but we don't have any salaries, potential salary increases in there. Is that correct, Mr. Kazanovich?
So, Madam Chair, we do provide for the 1% evaluation to the bylaw employees as part of that amount. And we provide for any considerations. If there's any turnovers and we have to make any adjustments to recruit for certain positions, because historically, as you know, based upon a salary survey we did, we try to make some adjustments over the last couple of years. And it may require some tweaking if there is some turnover and we cannot recruit anyone. So we do provide for a sum of money for those allowances if necessary.
Okay. Why did we have a decrease in the appropriation for this year?
Because last year we provided a sum of money for the police contracts that weren't negotiated at the time.
Gotcha. All right, members, do you have any questions? No. Do I hear a motion to recommend the reserve fund for $280,000?
Motion to recommend. Second.
All in favor? We'll do a roll call. Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay? It's all set. Thank you. Now, we can go to maturing debt. Okay, and the fiscal 2021 appropriation is $4,372,659, and this year the town manager recommendation $4,043,015. So that's a 7.5% decrease. Do you want to talk about this, Mr. Kazanovich?
So, Madam Chair, there was a reduction in this because we retired some debt last year. There should be a supporting schedule that was provided to you that should be part of the, that should be itemized and roll up to that total. We are planning on going out for a borrowing in November of approximately, and it's an estimate at this point in time, of close to $6 million. By going out in November, our first debt payment would be due 1 year after the issuance of those bonds. We would be required to make a 6-month interest payment on that issue, and we have that provided in our interest section, interest 752, which we'll address after you take action on this.
Okay. And when is the high school debt retired?
So we retire the high school debt in 2024.
Okay. So just,
June of 2024, so we're getting close.
okay. So we have 3 more years of payment,
Yes.
22, 23, and 24. Okay. All right, members, do you have any questions?
No?
Okay. All right, hearing none, do I hear a motion to recommend the maturing debt, $4,043,015?
Motion to recommend.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. All right, so the next line, the next budget is the interest. FY21 appropriation, $1,208,518, requested for 2022, $1,115,994, a reduction of just over 7%. Any questions on this?
Ed, the revision here was just to update us on the 2021 appropriation.
Yes, there was, if you look at the new account, the second from the bottom, originally there was a value of $75,000. It was a duplication.
Oh.
Okay.
That only impacted 2021, so it inflated that appropriation by $75,000. And I can understand how the mistake was made when this was prepared. That original $75,000 was for a short-term borrowing, which is now greater than the value it was when we first went out for it. So this is year 2 of that. We had a renewal on that, and the renewal folded into 21 capital, so that's why there was a duplication there.
Okay. Any questions? Do I hear a motion to recommend the interest line, $1,115,994?
Motion to recommend.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
Okay, myself, yes. All right. So we're looking at the last line, the pension and benefits. Fiscal 2021 appropriation, $12,169,942, and this year request $12,764,972, an increase of almost 5%. I see we get a discount, Mr. Kazanovich, if we pay Worcester County Retirement early.
Yes, that's something that they offered probably starting about 3 years ago. So a early payment of that amount allows for that discount. So we of course recommend that given our position of our cash balance. We have a lot of cash on hand. It's not as if that would create a situation where we would have to go out for revenue anticipation notes because we don't have the money. So it makes all the sense in the world to take advantage of that discount.
Okay, good. And I see that the Worcester County Retirement has gone up $340,000 this year's request as compared to last year. That seems pretty high.
It's normally been trending about 11%. This seems to be a little higher. I know we had a couple retirements that were driven as a result of a disability, permanent disability, job-related, which really is something we have no control over.
Yep.
But this is the normal. They do an actuarial every 2 years based upon our individuals who are collecting a benefit from the retirement board, and they, based upon our current workforce, make a determination on what our liability is based upon age and based upon level of compensation. So a number of factors come into play. So that is a fixed cost that we really have no control over.
Yeah, no, I understand. All right, and the group insurance, I see that has gone up. And is that the estimate, Mr. Kazanovich?
Oh, that's, we actually got our renewal. It's this level of increase in appropriation is not reflective of what our true increase is. We got a renewal of 11.5%, and a lot of that is COVID-driven. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market about COVID as a result of people postponing regular visits or postponing elective surgery. So the carriers believe that there's going to be a increase in claims as a result of COVID and people holding off. Mm-hmm. That's what we've been told. So our increase is really more in the vicinity of about a 5.5% increase, and we're hedging our trust. We have a $10.5 million balance in our trust. We manage our own claims. We pay for our own claims. We're not premium driven. We have a very, we started our own self-insured trust back in 2004 and built up $10.5 million of equity since that time. That money is not only the employers, but it's the employees as well. So we have a very healthy balance, and at times we use it to hedge off increases in our annual health insurance costs.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen,
So we're really,
go ahead.
we're really putting at risk maybe $500,000 of that trust. That doesn't mean we're going to spend it. We could have a very good year. We could have low claims and may not even use a penny of that. Mm-hmm. But I think we have an opportunity to at least contain our health care costs to our employees by utilizing a portion of our trust.
Okay.
If we need it.
Okay.
I've got two quick questions, if that's all right.
Yep.
Is the Worcester County Retirement Board line already reflective of the savings of $71,000?
Yes, it is.
And then, so it looks like last year the group insurance jumped up pretty significantly. Are we expecting that to like stabilize, go back down in fiscal 23?
So I think, Mike, there's a lot of uncertainty due to COVID. And so our administrators, we use Group Benefit Strategy, now known as Gallagher. They're our consultants, and they give us some projections or whatever else. They don't even know. There's a lot of uncertainty because of COVID. What's going to happen as a result of, in the short term versus the long term, is anyone's guess. So there was a period of time when it stabilized. We did have an increase last year as a result of several new positions that were added on in the school department. I think they had 13 new positions. That was really the driving factor behind the increase for last year. This year we have, I believe, one new position in the fire department funded through ambulance receipts. No other new positions even at the school level. So I think that we were able to contain the level of increase because we're not adding new positions, in conjunction with, once again, using a portion of our trust.
All right, that makes sense. That's perfect. Thank you, Ed.
Okay. Ed, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. And Trevor?
No questions.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we have a town manager recommendation for the pension and benefits, $12,764,972, and that's a 4.89% increase to fiscal 21. Do I hear a motion to?
Motion.
Thank you.
Motion to recommend?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, good. So that's it on the budget. Is that right, Mr. Kazanovich? On that?
I believe so, Madam Chair.
Okay, so next week we're meeting, we're going to look at the warrant and the CIPs. We do have to, our book is not completely done, we'll look at the CIP, and we should get out the warrant this week. Okay? And the meeting is on, what's the date of the meeting again, Mr. Kazanovich?
April 7th.
The town meeting?
Oh, no, sorry.
Town meeting?
Oh, town meeting. Hold on, let me look at the calendar. Give me 1 second here.
The 4th,
May 4.
May 4, okay. All right, does anyone have anything else? Ms. Snow, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Ed?
Yes.
Kevin? Oh, no Kevin. Michael?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
Okay, myself, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a